Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. I wanted to do an update video because I've been wanting to start vlogging again for a little bit, but I didn't really want to do vlogging until I updated everyone with what's going on health-wise because of the fact that people really wouldn't understand the doctor's appointments and all the different medical care that I've been getting in the vlogs unless you kind of know about the update. So with that being said, I'll just go ahead and jump right into it. So I've been on TPN now since February, so it is now September, February, March, April, May, June, July, August, September. So I've been on TPN for about 7 months now, and I am not weaned off of it. I have not lowered my TPN yet, and that is because I am not 100% on tube feeds yet. So basically, I was not gaining enough weight and still am not really gaining a whole lot of weight. So because of that, they had to increase my protein. We found in one of my blood work, or not blood work, but one of the tests that I had done, that I actually did not absorb a whole lot of, my body does not, it requires more protein than a normal person. We did an REE test, which measures the amount of calories that you burn at a resting rate, and that was to kind of see what I would need as far as nutrition goes. So basically we found that I burn a normal amount of calories at a resting rate. So just me sitting here, I burn a normal amount of calories. But then I burn an insane amount of protein, which doesn't really make a whole lot of sense because if you burn a lot of calories, it would make sense that you burn a lot of protein, but I just burn a lot of protein. So we were like, all right, well, since I am a mom and I'm constantly on the go, can you imagine how much protein I'm burning when I'm standing up and running around and chasing after kids and all that kind of stuff? So she said that we're going to increase the protein in your TPN for now until we get you on a good track with your tube feeds. I was not tolerating the formula that I was on, which was osmolite 1.5 or 1.2, and then I switched to the Vivinex. What's what it was? No, I think it was Vital. I switched to the Vital 1.5 cal, and I did good on it for a while, and then I kind of started with the issues again, and then I had to stop that. I was off of tube feeds for a while, and then I got put on Vivinex Ready to Feed, and my doctor started at 10 ml an hour, which is super, super slow, and I'm now at 20 ml an hour after about a month or two. So we're slowly getting there to where I can increase my feeds more, but we have to monitor my weight because having the weight having a ton of protein and calories with my TPN plus the formula, we don't want me to gain too much weight all at once because that can have negative side effects as well. So I have gained, I started at 113 back in February, and my weight's been up and down since then. I'm now at 122 pounds on a day where I'm not piled full of fluids. So on a day that I'm full of fluids, I'm about 126, but that's all fluid weight. Over the next course of a couple of days, it all comes out of my system, and then I start back at 121, 122. So I've been holding between there. I've not lost any weight, which is awesome, but I'm not gaining a ton of weight either. So the more that I increase my rate of feed, the more formula I'll be getting. And if I start getting a ton of weight, then I have to call my doctor, and then she'll cut back on my TPN. The good thing is that with my TPN, I'm now down to 12 hours. I started at 24 hours, and since February, it's taking me this long to get down to 12 hours. But that's good. I'm okay with that, and I like having a shorter schedule, because the TPN, I get the same amount of TPN, but just at a faster rate, which means my body is tolerating having that all go in, in that short amount of time. So I start at nighttime, and then by 11 o'clock the next day, 11 a.m. the next day, I'm done. So then I have the rest of the day off until later that night. Another issue that I run into is mast cell. I tested positive for mast cell, and I got sent to my allergist is actually the one who tested me for it, because all my doctors suspected that I have had it, but they didn't do the testing for it because they said the testing will sometimes come back negative even though it's positive, and then it's just kind of like a waste of money. But my allergist wanted to go ahead and run the test anyway because we wanted to know for sure so I could start some type of treatment if that's indeed what I had. And she was also worried about me having mastocytosis, which we don't think that I have. I tested negative for it, but I know that there's several different tests that you use to test for it, but the one that she used, I tested negative. So I do have mast cell, and she wanted me to see a specialist in Boston, but that specialist did not have any appointments for another year and change. And for me, that is too long because I'm having so many issues with it. So I ended up deciding to see a doctor in Tampa because my allergist said, let's try a doctor out there. I used to work for one of the medical places out in Tampa, and I know a doctor there who could possibly help you, and they would know more about mast cell than I would because they're like a research hospital. So my allergist put me on Zyrtec and starts with the C, Claritin. So I take the Zyrtec at nighttime and the Claritin in the morning, and that's supposed to help with mast cell, but it wasn't helping for me. So she got me an ASAP appointment in Tampa, and when I went to Tampa, I was told that she could not help me. So it was really, really frustrating because we had driven so far only to get absolutely nowhere. And she told me that there's a doctor out in Maryland who could possibly help me if I were to do like a clinical study with him, because he actually found the gene wrote an article and found the genetic mutation or the gene that links dysautonomia and connective tissue disorders with mast cell. So people who have those three things, he found like the gene that was mutated that connects all those three. So she told me to go ahead and email him, and that she would email him as well as my allergist and get everyone on the same page and see if I can get out there. Well, I emailed him, and I don't know if she actually has emailed him yet, but I did not get a response. So I'm back to square one with not having any treatment for my mast cell, and my mast cell has been really, really bad. I've been down and out with it to the point where some days I can't function, and my face will just be completely flushed, and I will feel so sick, and I've been breaking out in rashes all the time and everything else. The good thing though is that I have a Hickman now. I no longer have the PICC line. The PICC line started with the whole mast cell reaction, and it got to the point where like my arm was nothing but a pussing, scabbing mess. And it was so painful to infuse the TPN because of all the pain that I was in. That anything that went through there or anything that touched my arm, I was just constantly itching and burning. I was so miserable that I had gotten to the point where I was just going to pull it out. So we had talked to my surgeon. My surgeon agreed that for long-term TPN, we would just go ahead and do the Hickman because she does not do ports. I did see a doctor about getting a port put back in, a local doctor actually that a friend of mine kind of recommended, and he agreed to put a port back in, but wanted me to give the Hickman a shot first. Reason being is, one, I've already had a port, I've had a PICC line, and now I have the Hickman, and eventually you're going to run out of places to put in a central line. And so if at one point this got infected or at one point, say he put a port in and it got infected, because TPN increases your chance of getting an infection due to the fact that there's so much sugar in it. that if it got ruined, then we would be down one more access to put in another central line if I needed one down the road. So say it got ruined and they needed to put one in, like we would run out of places to put one. So he said if it's not broke, don't fix it. Would it really make a big difference in my life if I had a port as opposed to the Hickman? And no. The only thing that would be beneficial would be that I would get a break from having something in my chest. I would get a break from having tubing. I would get a break from having something constantly like being dressed. I would have a break with my skin, and I would be able to take a shower normally. With the Hickman, I don't want to chance it because I've not been lucky so far. And I don't want to do anything that's going to put me in a position to where I would need to have another line placed, or I could get an infection. So we do everything that we can to completely avoid that. And we're now going on April, May, June, July, August, September, about 5 months of me sponge bathing. So I've not had like an actual shower in 5 months, which is crazy to think about, but it is so. So yeah, I have the Hickman. It works great. Sometimes it bothers me, but it's livable, it's doable, and I'm just going to leave it for now. He did say if I ever wanted it done, or if I just decide, hey, I'm done with the Hickman, put in a port, he'd be more than willing to do that. He also said that when I'm done with TPN and I still need to do my saline therapy, then I could go in and have him do the port for that. So I have the option, but we all agreed that it would be wise for me just to wait for right now and see what happens and just go from there. Another issue that we ran into is anemia. I have noticed through my blood work, because I get the results, like I get all of my blood work sent to me, and I have been noticing that my iron levels were kind of off, and they've been off for a while now, and they just kept kind of going up and down, up and down, up and down, my hemoglobin, my hematocrit, and I was just like, okay, like, I didn't really think anything of it, like, it was something that I looked at, but it wasn't anything that I was like, oh, like, I'm gonna bring this up to my doctor. Up until I started getting really, really, really tired, and it was to the point where, like, I couldn't even function, like, I was not able, I still have those days where, like, I'm not able to, like, even move, and I'm not the type of chronically ill patient that just wants to lay around and do absolutely nothing. In fact, it makes me want to do more because I want to feel and be like a normal person, so it encourages me to get out there and do more. So I noticed that my fatigue was worse than what it usually is, and I'm like, there's something wrong, like there's something that we're missing. And so I got one of my iron levels back, and I'm like, that is pretty low. And my last iron levels, they had gone up from an 8.8 to like a 10. So I'm like, now they're back down to a 9.3. Like, what has happened in between that time? And nothing. So I'm like, all right, well, I guess I'm just going to wait for my doctor to say something, or I might bring it up to them. I'm not really sure. So when I went in for my clinical appointment, the pharmacist that I see before my surgeon, she was like, did you know your iron's low? Like, your iron is pretty low. And I'm like, I was going to bring that up to you guys because I have noticed that there's, like, I'm really, really tired. And she was like, do you get cold a lot? I'm like, yeah, I always have the chills. Like, I'm always freezing. And then I get hot really, really easily. And just something seemed off. So she was like, all right, well, I'm going to go ahead and mention it to the surgeon, and we'll have to see what she says. Well, I guess she had forgotten because nothing got accomplished. So I called the ARMP right after I had, like, realized, like, after the appointment, I realized, I'm like, oh, we never addressed the iron issue. I went ahead and I called, and she was like, yeah, your iron is pretty low. Like, I'm going to go ahead and mention it to your doctor or to buyers, and we'll go from there. So she had mentioned it to her, and she was like, all right, well, you're going to be coming into clinics, again. So when you come in, like, we'll address it then. Until then, I will order more blood work, and we'll see what that says. So we went ahead and I did the additional blood work, which ended up being the wrong blood work. So when I went in for my next clinical appointment, I had told her that I had the blood work done, and I had mentioned to her that my iron's low, and that my ARNP mentioned doing iron infusions because of how low it was, but that she ordered additional blood work. So she was like, yeah, I was the one who told her that your iron's really low, and I told her to call you, which she did. She ended up calling me like 2 days right before my clinical appointment, and she had mentioned about doing the iron transfusions. So we went ahead, and she's like, all right, well, since the raw blood work was done, I am going to go ahead and have you do the blood work here and make sure we get the right ones done so we can see kind of where everything is at, so we know how much iron you need, etc. So I went ahead and I have those levels done, and I got them back, and I went ahead and I called my doctor's ARNP again, and I said, hey, my levels are back. I'm really having a difficult time, because at that point it was the worst it had ever been. Like, it got to the point where I was beyond miserable. I could not function, and I still have restless leg syndrome, so like I'm pretty sure those are tied together. So I went ahead and gave her a call, and she was like, yeah, I just got the blood work back. We really need to get your iron infusions like ASAP. So by that next day, I had my iron infusions, and I've only done 2 of them, so I get them 3 times a week. And I'm only on my second one, and I have not noticed a difference yet, but I've also gotten my lovely monthly womanly thing, and that's kind of not helping the situation any. So I know that I am pale. That kind of goes with anemia, and yeah, we're not sure exactly why I have the anemia, but we are trying to address it. Like, I need to go and see another doctor and figure out why I'm having it, but I guess apparently my blood work shows that it might be an autoimmune issue, and if that's the case, then I need to get that taken care of, because while we're treating the iron issue, we're not necessarily treating the underlying cause, nor do we know what is causing it, and that is important to know for the future. So yeah, that's just kind of where everything is at, and I know I expected to be feeling a whole lot better by now, which in some ways I do. I'm not nauseous 24/7 anymore. I don't have severe stomach cramping like I did before, because before I would literally be screaming in pain, but I'm not where I thought that I should be by now, and I think that for me is frustrating. I'm dealing with a lot mentally, and I've been struggling mentally big time. I've considered going to see a therapist because I thought I was dealing with everything really, really well, and I was. But I don't think everything has really hit me up until now. It's to the point where like I'm extremely emotional, and I'm very agitated all the time, and I have no patience, and I just don't have I'm beyond frustrated. Just have a normal snack. I am having a hard time with everything. I always thought I was a super strong person, and I think I am, but there are times where you hit your low, where you finally have let everything completely sink in, and you realized how much it's changed and affected your life. It's to the point where things bother me the most. I think the things that bother me the most is the tubes. like, I want them gone. Like, I'm done with having the tubes. They're frustrating because I know this sounds like really petty and really stupid, but wearing dresses, like, I can't wear dresses because I have the giant G tube, and that tube I have to be attached to a bag all the time, and that bag has to hang on something, and I have to connect it to my belt buckles, like the loops to my pants, and I can't wear a dress for that reason. My shirts, like all my shirts, look ridiculous because when I stand up, the tube like kind of like pokes out and it creates like this giant bump in my shirt, and that bothers me because I don't look like a human. I look kind of bionic, and I just want to look normal because I don't feel normal. And I'm tired of trying to always put on like a happy face and pretend like there's nothing wrong and pretend like I am okay when in all reality I'm not. I'm not okay. I'm better in the stomach aspect than what I was before. I can drink a bottle of water. That takes me an entire day, but I am able to drink a bottle of water, sometimes only a half a bottle of water. Whereas before I couldn't even take a sip of water. So I definitely try to look at the positives, like I am now here, whereas before I was now there. But because more and more stuff is becoming an issue and we're finding more and more issues, it's frustrating. I feel like there's never like an end in sight, and there's always going to be more issues. And I was told that that was going to be the case, but I didn't really sit and like put that into perspective. I never really let that sit and let it sink in. Like, it's just now kind of, all hitting me. And I can't take the kids out to the beach whenever I want. I cannot go in the heat. I cannot be outside. First of all, this thing can't be all sweaty and nasty. That's an infection risk. And having POTS, you can't be in the heat. And it's been really hard. And I definitely think therapy would be beneficial. Maybe not right now at this second because I have a lot of doctor's appointments coming up, but definitely in the close future. And I don't know. I'll do another vlog or like a sit down video kind of going over like my views and perspectives on everything and how it affects my family and how it affects me. Because in all reality, like, this just doesn't affect me. This affects my family, and you feel guilty for it. So I'll definitely make a video on that. I do have a genetics appointment tomorrow, September 5th, and I have like my list of what I want to be tested for, and I know that sounds ridiculous, but you become your own doctor. I want to be tested for several different things, as well as, whatever he recommends. And I have GI at the end of September, as well as my surgeon. So September is packed with doctor's appointments, but I'm hoping that we're getting somewhere. We've definitely figured out a lot more than what I ever have in the past, but it's all a work in progress. So I made this video long enough, I guess. And yeah, I hope I'm pretty sure you'll be seeing some vlogs from us pretty soon. But yeah. Alright, I'm going to sign off of here, and thank you guys for watching. And if you have any questions, you can link them down below or comment down below. And yeah, if you like this video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel.